So, what would be the reason why you support Donald Trump?
Well, right now I'm kind of not supporting him because of the Epstein files, so that's a big reason. But I mean, everything else I kind of support what he does.
Okay, so to clarify, right? Like, the Epstein files would be where you draw the line, but you wouldn't draw the line specifically at him being held civilly liable if a woman, or saying he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, or saying that Epstein's a terrific guy that he likes beautiful women as much as he does, many of them on the younger side.
Oh no, all of that to me is completely wrong. I don't support him as a person, but if I had to pick between him and Kamala, I would have had to pick between policies, not based on character.
Okay, so then why are you specifically saying you don't support him because of the Epstein list under your view?
Well, I mean, he said he was going to release them. He said, I who's the lady that said she was going to release them? What's her name? Meg?
Pam Bondi.
Yeah. Pam, she said that she was going to release them. She said she had them on her desk. She said there were thousands of videos, and now she's saying that there's nothing. And that's a big reason why so many of us voted for Donald Trump was because we knew that this was going to be released. It was such a big deal, and now he's not. So now Republicans are very divided, and it's not looking good for us because, Trump won, and now what he's doing is not what we expected.
Yeah, so it is a reality that Donald Trump is not upholding his position when it comes to this, and they were specifically explaining that they do have it on the desk. Now, I actually would probably write that off in terms of this particularly as them just doing it specifically for attention, right? They're doing that, like they were explicitly saying that in the past, particularly for attention, right? They were doing it for the essentially like claps from their own audience. But then when it is the case that they actually like meaningfully like looked to see if they actually had any file to overlook, there specifically wasn't anything that they could access at that particular point. Now, the particular point that I think I would say is probably most convincing is that there was something that happened with a file list prior to the point that the Democrats even got into the office by 2021, because it is the case that this happened in 2019. Right, there were plenty of years prior to the point in which Democrats got in office, so it's likely that something has already happened to it, right? By the time that it would get into the hands of like Democrats in 2021, right? So the idea that it would even be here now, I think would be ridiculous because I do think that Democrats would have released it if they had that evidence. Assuming that it is the case that they're not releasing it
Let
because
me ask you
there's
a
people
question.
particularly who are Democrats on that list. And obviously, if they were trying to protect Pete Radio specifically by doing that, I wouldn't support a single one of them.
Yeah, so that was kind of my question is I do believe that there are some Republicans on that list. I have a suspicion that Trump is on the list because if he's not going to release it, obviously he might be on the list. Do you think that there are some Democrats on the list?
So if there is a list, right, that we would be able to have access to, I do think that there was some type of list that existed, right? Do we have access to that list is a separate question. On
Yeah.
that list, I do think there were some people affiliated with the Democratic Party, of course, right? I wouldn't dispute that.
Yeah.
But
So
like that could
my
just be
thing
like a celebrity that says
is
that they're
if
supportive of the Democratic Party or something like that when they're
yeah.
not, or like it could be, like certain people who were like, prominent in the party in the past, right? In terms of the Democratic Party, I wouldn't like say that like that's not going to happen, but I also wouldn't say that we have evidence to indicate that is the case.
So if it came out that a Democratic someone very popular in the Democratic Party was on it, would you support them?
No.
Okay, that's a good answer because I mean, if Trump was on it, I wouldn't support him either. So I mean, I just think that right now it would be better for
Wait,
everyone
wait,
if we
wait. So then
knew.
here's my point.
That way we know
Then you
who's in
do take
office.
into account character.
Um, yes, but again, when you have two parties, Kamala and Trump, who were not good options at all, you have to just take character out of it and you have to vote for policy. And policy
Okay,
was the most
so
important
then
thing
if
to
you knew
me
that Donald Trump was
besides Epstein files.
if you knew that Donald Trump was on the Epstein files, and it was the case that the Democrats
No,
didn't
no, I
see
have
them because they were already destroyed prior to 2021, is it the case that you would then say you would support Kamala Harris over Donald Trump if you could go back in time?
if it was said that he was on the Epstein file, I wouldn't have voted for either candidate.
No, but she wasn't. He was and she wasn't. Let's say you're the deciding vote, right? If you do not vote, then he becomes president.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Then I would vote for Kamala, because even though I don't support what she does, I can't fathom having somebody in office like that. But I know that there are so many people in the White House and in the government who are on that list, and we just don't know. We don't know who we're voting for.
So then here would be my point. Then it would be clearly obvious that you do take into account character, and that someone can do something so bad in terms of their specific character that would then mean that you don't support them, even considering the policy that they have. Right. And that's why we saw you would support Kamala Harris in that scenario versus Donald Trump. So then why would you support Donald Trump, even though he's been held civilly liable of a woman, bragged about walking the changing rooms of girls in Miss Team USA because he quote unquote owns the place to inspect them
Well,
without their consent, bragged about grabbing women without asking, said he would date a 10-year-old girl in 10 years, right? Like all of those things.
yeah. So the whole thing with what was the first point you made up? Oh, he was civilly liable. I don't consider someone being civilly liable the same as being liable in an actual court of law. That's not the same to me. It actually does not, it's not equally the same.
Okay, so then let's clarify. Do you accept the criminal cases against Donald Trump?
Not in a civil court, no.
I said the criminal cases against Donald Trump, like the felonies.
Yeah, if yes, if he was criminally charged in an actual court, then yes, I would have to. You mean yeah, they charged him, so he's charged. Like that's
No,
it.
no, no. I'm telling you that he was criminally convicted of 34 felonies. Do you accept those 34 felonies, like to be valid
Not
determinations
if
of him
he's
as of his guilt?
was he ever. I don't think he was ever charged. He was convicted, but he was never charged.
What? In order to be convicted, you have to be charged with a crime.
Then yeah, I mean yes, I know he did. I mean yeah, we obviously knew he did stuff in the past. With wasn't it all about money?
What are you? No, it's falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a Class C felony in the state of New York. It was specifically to hide, right, the information relating to him cheating on his wife and then paying off
Oh, I mean, I could care
Stormy
less about
Daniels.
that. That has nothing to do with you as like a president.
Well, okay, but
I mean,
do you
like
no do you
out of all the things,
do you accept the case? You didn't accept the case. Okay, so here's what you did. You looked to see how bad what he did was, rather than just like evaluating whether or not the case was legitimate or not. So you're not disputing it on based upon whether or not it's a legitimate case. You're disputing it based upon literally just like, oh, I don't think it was that bad. So honestly, I'm okay with accepting it. So you're not really accepting it based upon the evidence or based upon whether or not it's likely to be true. You're basing it specifically on whether or not you're willing to accept it or still vote for him based upon hearing that information or accepting it.
no. So if he was convicted of what he was, which he was convicted, and if he was also convicted of being on the Epstein files and he was convicted of, you know, women, I would accept both of those because both are still convicted. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter which was worse. I'm accepting both of them. I'm accepting the first one and I'm accepting if the second one happens.
Okay, so you do accept the criminal case.
Yeah, I mean, he was convicted. Like I accept it. I don't think what he did. I mean, I wouldn't do
Push
what
the
he
galaxy.
did,
Thank you.
but what he did
Okay,
isn't going
okay,
to change
okay.
my vote.
So to clarify,
If it was Kamala.
to clarify, okay. Well, then I'll ask you this question: if Donald Trump or if someone was trying to legally immigrate into the United States and they were held civilly liable, would you allow them to legally immigrate into the country?
Did you say legally or illegally? I didn't hear you.
Legally.
If they're trying to legally immigrate in a civil court, again, I don't think that civil court holds up. Obviously, we have to take account that that person may have done something wrong, but they're not in. It's not. They didn't.
Wait.
It's
So
a
you
civil
would
court.
allow
We
them
all
to
know that civil courts.
so you would allow them to legally enter the country even though they were held civilly liable of a
That's
woman?
the law. That's the law.
I have a question. Would you let them be a teacher?
You can't deny somebody.
Would you let someone be a teacher if they were held civilly liable of a woman?
I don't think that you can be a teacher if you are. I'm not
No,
100%
I'm
sure
asking
on
if
that.
you had the ability to verify whether or not they're allowed to be a teacher, would you allow them to be a teacher given they're qualified within every other respect?
I probably wouldn't. No.
Okay, you wouldn't. Okay, so why wouldn't you? Because you think it's a
I
good
mean,
enough standard to accept? Because if you don't accept it, well, then why would you say you wouldn't allow them? I thought you didn't accept
because
that information.
because in the law you have to allow that. In the law, you have to allow somebody who is still civilly liable into the country.
No, 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 no. We're talking about whether or not you accept it. If we're talking specifically about teachers, and by the way, you don't. You don't, by the way. The law doesn't say that. But if you're talking about teachers specifically, right? Teachers, right? If they were held civilly liable for abusing women, it seems like you accepted the civil case in that scenario. So why do you accept the civil case in that
If I
scenario,
was
but not when it's Donald Trump that did it?
what do you mean? What did Donald Trump do that he was trying to immigrate? I'm confused.
You're not understanding. I said he was
It's
held.
totally separate.
Yes. Yeah, you're misunderstanding.
Can you hear me, Parker?
Yes, I do hear you.
Okay, just checking. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So Donald Trump was held civilly liable of a woman. Do you acknowledge that?
I do not believe that he did that, and that's because the lady came out 30 years later, and I'm pretty sure she did it all for money. And again, it was
23
civilly
years,
liable.
and she was already a
Hold on.
millionaire.
Yeah. Rebecca, what kind of authority do you have to make a determination like that when a unanimous jury disagrees with you?
I mean, he asked me. I mean, I don't have any authority, but he asked me my opinion. I'm gonna get
Right, and I'm asking you how you came to that conclusion.
because millions of women come up every year saying that they lie to get money.
So
Rebecca, let me ask you. Can I ask you an honest question?
Oh, I thought I was debating Parker, not you. I don't even know who you are.
I'm E. Jean Carroll's niece and friends with Parker, and he let me up here because of this topic. If you don't want to talk to me, you can leave.
Well, I came on here honestly talk to Dean about other things as well.
Okay, well, this is the topic that we're on right now, and Parker had the option to let me up here because he wanted to, so he did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this isn't your live.
Well, it's not yours either.
It's his. He let me up here.
yeah, who let her up
Okay,
on the stream?
go for
So
it.
if you're not willing to talk to me, then
No, I would love to talk to you. I just don't really know who you are. So
well, I don't know who you are either, and you don't know Parker either, but you're still here. What does that have to do with anything? We're all strangers here on the internet, except Parker is actually my friend. But anyway, I want to ask you an honest question.
yeah,
Why do you hate women?
I don't hate women. I'm a woman. I'm a Christian. I don't hate women at all.
Why do you believe women are lying when you don't have any evidence that that's the case?
Oh, I didn't say that. I said some women lie.
No. That's not what you said. You said millions of women accuse men of every year and they're lying.
Yes.
That's what you said. That's not true, by the way. Do you know what the false accusation rate is in this country?
You know how many men are in jail right now because they are held liable for that they never did?
Tell us. Tell
very,
us.
very small number. Yeah, tell us. And then tell us where you got that
Thousands of
information.
men.
Where did you get that information?
It's look on the internet. What?
Look on the internet.
Yeah.
You have to
What
tell us
source did
where
you
on
use
the
to
internet
come
did
to
you
that
see that?
conclusion?
Yeah.
Is what I'm asking.
I'm sorry, Park. Can you say that again? You caught out.
Yeah, like where did you see that on the internet?
Where'd you get those numbers?
I mean, it's been public knowledge. It's just a thing.
It's not public knowledge, Rebecca.
Okay.
It's not. Okay. I worked in for 10 years, and I'm the niece of a victim who won her case. I also won my own case. That's not true. And you are perpetuating what's called culture right now. People believe that most women or a lot of women are lying about this, and that there's thousands and thousands of men that were convicted that are innocent. Do you know out of how many accusations that actually get reported to police end up in a conviction and prison sentence? The ones that actually get taken seriously and go to court? You know what the conviction rate is?
I would help all of them.
Guess what the conviction rate is, Rebecca?
I don't know the convention.
It's 70 out of 1,000.
Well, if that number is true, that's very sad.
So how does that comport with your conclusion that there's all these innocent men in prison for this when the conviction rate is that low?
I don't know. That wasn't really what I was coming on talking about, but
I don't care what you came on here to talk about. That's what we're talking about right now. If Parker had a problem with what we were talking about, he would tell me.
I mean, I wanted to talk about the Epstein files, but we did talk about the Epstein files.
This is related, Rebecca, because you came up here and said that character doesn't matter to you? Character
No,
is
I
not the
didn't.
reason why you vote for somebody, it's their
I
policies.
said, quote, if I had to pick between Kamala and Trump, I could not base it on character because Trump's policies are very superior over Kamala's policies.
Exactly. So you're saying that the policy, the character, no matter how bad the character is, and yet at the same time, if you knew that if you knew that he was guilty of doing something to children, that would be a deal breaker for you. Why isn't it a deal breaker for you when he does it to women? What do you think the evidence was in this case?
I told Parker
that you disagree with.
It came out. Hold on. I told Parker that if it came out that he was on the Epstein files, I would 100% not vote for him anymore.
That's my point.
Not support him anymore.
That's my point. So why do you care about it when it's those victims, but not when it's another victim who won her case twice?
What do you mean those? I don't understand whose victim you're talking about. Who are
you
talking about?
Jean Carroll, the person he was held civilly liable for.
Equal to a high-level court that most.
Do you think that civil trials are not held in courts?
I don't think that they're equal at all.
And where did you get that? Where did you get that information?
Like, you can look it up. Like,
I understand that civil courts and criminal courts are different things. I've been through both processes.
They're different. They're held differently. They're convicted differently.
Tell me what the difference is between civil court and criminal court.
You tell me. I mean, all I know is that
you're the one that knows that it's so different. So
I know
tell
it's
me what's
different because all he had to do was pay her money.
What does that have to do with his guilt?
Because most civil courts, you just have to pay money. That's all you have to do because it's a civil court.
Yeah, that's okay. Rebecca, when you go to a criminal court, your punishment is a criminal punishment. When you go to civil court, because the statute of limitations is up, there is no option for a criminal punishment. The only thing they can do is give you an award of financial.
If he was criminally liable for this, he would go to jail for a very long time.
Exactly. So you tell me why this was a civil case and not a criminal case.
Because there wasn't enough evidence.
That's not
exactly
true.
Exactly why it wasn't a criminal case.
Incorrect.
Then
the reason
why,
I will tell you.
I'm wrong. Then you tell me why it wasn't in a criminal court. You tell me.
Because the statute of limitations in New York State is 5 years.
Can you explain that
to me?
To me?
Yes. If more than 5 years has gone by since you have been victimized, even if you go to the police and have a videotape of this happening, they cannot charge that person criminally and go to criminal court after 5 years because the statute of limitations is 5 years. The only option you have is civil court. And the reason that she was able to take this case to civil court in New York State is because the year before they had passed a law to allow adult survivors of the Catholic Church who had been victimized 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago to bring charges against the people who had them as children. Now, do you think that those children who waited 30, 40, 50 years to report theirs are lying because they waited so long?
No, I never said.
Then why do you apply the standard differently to just because it's a woman?
Well, most women are getting, most women are the ones who have to go through this. I'm not. What is your?
I thought there was all these innocent men in prison, Rebecca.
For being accused of that.
And I told you that 70 out of every 1,000 cases that actually go to criminal court even end up in a conviction.
Also,
so that's not true.
Also, what's the rate of false accusal for a charge, Rebecca? Do you know?
3%. It's 3%.
So, what's the likelihood of it being accurate then, Rebecca?
And that's just false accusations. That's not false convictions.
Yeah, we're talking about him being held
civilly liable. There's 100 miles. There is 100 miles between an false accusation and a false conviction. Do you know how hard it is to get a conviction in a case? Do you know how hard the evidence standard is?
Well, clearly I don't know as much as you do. You clearly know a lot more than me about this. So I would like to move on to the next topic as I'm sitting here telling you that I don't know much about this like you do.
Well, why wouldn't you listen to the information and try to learn from it rather than just try to move on from it? Well, because genuinely, this should get you to a point where you're like, I shouldn't support him, given that you said that if he's on the Epstein files, you wouldn't support him.
If I don't support him, I do believe that he has done some very wrong things to women. I don't support him as a person. I can only support his policies versus Kamala's policies.
Yeah.
Tell me what policy that is so valuable and important to you that outweighs your inability to understand the impact having a in the Oval Office has
Well,
on the entire country, especially on women and victims.
if he was
What is so important
if
to
he
you?
was held criminally liable for,
It wouldn't be criminally liable. Liable is the term used in civil court. It would be a criminal conviction.
if he was convicted, then I don't think anybody would support him for that. But
Okay.
again,
I think they would, Rebecca, and let me tell you why.
well, okay, I wouldn't if he was. I wouldn't be.
Parker and I have sat here and listened to people tell us they still would.
Well, that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. I don't know how someone could sit here and say that they would support that.
Just like how you said that you weren't accepting his criminal convictions in terms of his felonies, is the same reason they would specifically use to justify. They just call it a sham trial. They say, oh, it was like done in New York, or oh, they make up some like oh, liberals are out to get him sort of thing. It only came after he was president.
Or they say the same things that you did. She waited 30 years. She did this for money. What evidence do you have that that's true? Because she had a net worth of $9 million before she brought this case.
We can go back and forth.
Yeah. So tell me what the evidence was in this case that made you decide that she was not.
There was no evidence.
This is how I know you don't know anything about this, Rebecca. And the fact that you let me finish my sentence. The fact that you have made a determination in your mind that this is not true when you don't even know what the evidence is should have you examining your entire life right now, Rebecca. Do you know how much damage you have done to women and victims by not caring enough to even look at what the evidence was and still deciding that she's a liar?
There's no evidence that
that's not true.
Okay, then you tell me what the evidence is.
Wait, then tell me. Why was there a unanimous decision from a jury that yes, he did, sir?
I don't know.
Do you think that it wasn't convincing to the jury? Like a unanimous decision. We're talking every single person on that jury. There were people who are independents. There were people who are not political. There were people who are conservative, and there are people who are liberal. And given the entire determination from the jury, people who were selected by Donald Trump's lawyers, right? That specifically should have then yielded every single person indicating that he did it, and all of them are wrong. Every single one of the jurors.
And you have to understand that you still have to present evidence in a court, even if it's a civil court. You still have to have evidence. The difference between the determination of a decision in a civil court versus a criminal court is the criminal court is beyond a reasonable doubt, and there are varying opinions. You can read a paper from, I believe it was, I can't remember, it was Harvard, I think, or Brown, that did a study that asked 90 judges what they believed beyond a reasonable doubt really meant, and like 180 jurors, what percentage of certainty that meant to them. And their answers varied anywhere from 51 to 99%. So that is a determination that's subjective to people on juries and people sitting on benches. No, I'm almost done. And the civil determination is, Parker, I just lost it. What's the civil? It's not beyond a reasonable. Oh, preponderance of evidence.
Yes.
Which means certainty beyond 50%.
Like more likely than not.
I clicked on the very first article about the Donald Trump versus Jean Carroll, and the first thing it says is that they did not find her. Only 9 people found that Trump her, but she failed to prove that he.
So correct. And let me explain that.
Terrible.
Let me explain that.
Can you just explain how that correlates to what you're saying?
Absolutely. There were only 9 jurors.
Okay.
So that was unanimous.
Yes.
To begin with. And the reason that they did not determine that he is because of the way that New York State had at the time defined. The definition of New York State at that time was the person's will.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in this case, they could not be certain what and that is why he was found liable of instead of. Now the law in New York State has changed. It can be any object for it to be. But at the time, it had to be.
And Rebecca, do you agree with us that any
Oh, 100%.
So then you
And
agree
that's
with
why
us
I'm
that
very
so then you agree with us and the judge that it's because again in the colloquial usage, the way that we're using the term, it is absolutely. So that's actually
And I
that's
quote, and I quote Judge Lewis Kaplan, Donald Trump did indeed Jean Carroll. That was his summation statement after the jury determination. But like I said, the reason why they had to go with is because of what I explained. And there was a lot of evidence that you're not aware of. And it just upsets me, Rebecca, as a woman, okay, that you didn't care enough to look and see what the evidence would be before you decided that she was a liar.
I'm gonna have to look more into this because I feel like I'm gonna have to go very deep into this to.
There's some stuff that you won't find because her medical records, although the jury was able to see them and the judge, are not available to the public because
So
of
can I ask you why
HIPAA
they
laws.
Can I ask you why they aren't?
Because of HIPAA laws. Do you know what HIPAA laws are?
Yes, but I'm just wondering how that wasn't. They allowed that in the court.
Yes, they can subpoena medical records for a jury and judge, but they are not available to the public.
Okay. What did the court say about her medical records, if I may ask you?
Well, that information is not in the public record, but that was the evidence that they used to make their determination. That
Yeah.
along with the other evidence.
Now while her medical records aren't
Specifically her disclosure of this event to her therapist in the late 90s.
So it's just like medical records to her therapist. It wasn't like
those are medical records. Yeah, a psychologist is a medical professional.
What is it called when?
No, she did not get she did not report it.
Wait. So to clarify, Rebecca, are you saying that she created a narrative in the 90s, right, with her therapist and with multiple of her friends that verified that they heard the story at that specific time, to whoa. Assuming that Donald Trump was going to become president in the future, to then come out when he became president? Like, did she have like a crystal ball or?
Can you just back up because you're going from 0 to 10, and I'm trying to back up for a second. I did not know that she had medical records of a therapist. If that were to be true, I don't know why that can't be public record. I thought you were
talking because of HIPAA, because of medical privacy laws.
Not sure how therapy is under that.
Are you kidding me? Do you think that the notes that a psychologist takes with a patient are available to the public? That is
actually, I've watched so many trials, and let's think of what are those twin boys that murdered their parents? Who are they again?
Menendez brothers.
Menendez brothers. All of their medical stuff was released. I don't that's why I'm just a little confused.
It depends on what it is, what kind of case it is, what kind of court it is, and whether or not they allow cameras in the courtroom, which they don't in New York State.
And by the way, I don't think that they are twins, by the way. I know what case that you were referencing.
Oh.
They're not twins.
They're not twins?
No.
Wait, what?
Lyle and Eric Menendez? No, they're not twins.
Oh, wait, not them. Not the twins because they look alike and they're like 2 years apart or something like that. But you knew what I meant when I said it. But
what I'm saying is the reason that you didn't hear this, and if you had been in the courtroom, you would have heard some of this information, but you weren't. And it can't be put into public record. There's a specific law where this information has to be submitted to the court clerk in advance to be reviewed by the judge because it can't be seen by the public.
Yeah, like Rebecca, what evidence would you accept?
I mean, I would have accepted the medical records.
Okay, would you accept the multiple of her friends that verified that they heard this story decades ago? Like
no,
specifically when
I would not accept. No, I would not accept that. I mean, personally, just because, again, people can make stuff up, but I would have accepted.
What about the DNA that was on the dress, where Donald Trump had multiple years to give up his DNA but chose not to? Because if he did give up his DNA, and it was the case that it wasn't his DNA that was on the dress, well, then it would have proved that he wasn't the one at the scene of the crime, right?
His DNA was on the dress?
Yeah, there was DNA on a dress.
Yes, and it was tested.
Yeah, and it was tested. It was unidentified male DNA, and Donald Trump wouldn't give up his DNA right until after the point in which they specifically wouldn't allow for him to, because he was trying to like make the jury process take longer, make the court process take longer. But he didn't give it up specifically, right? Which would indicate that he's likely guilty, because if you know that you're innocent, you were never around her, there's no way that she could have your DNA. Clearly, you would give up your DNA to show that it's not yours. But he decided
and let me
not
ask
to.
you a question.
Okay. And while I completely understand what you're saying, this article is saying that it contains traces of an unknown man.
Yes.
How do they know that was Trump? Just trying to play devil's advocate.
You just missed the entire point of what Parker just said. The reason that they don't know it was Trump is because he refused to give up his DNA for it to be matched.
But there's DNA of Trump everywhere.
No, there is not, ma'am. No. What are you talking about?
Wait,
DNA is not like...
If you do
No.
a DNA test, it's going to come back with somebody, considering that he's been alive for 74 years.
Wait, but like,
You-
what are you gonna
Do you think that
test it
every single
against?
person? Do you think every single person in the country just has like DNA out there that's public record?
Pretty much everybody who lives
No,
No.
Yes.
no,
There-
ma'am.
Yes, when you go to the hospital and they take your blood or you get a scan,
That doesn't give DNA, honey.
blood does.
No, it does not.
Wait, you think that the civil court is going to identify through the context of doctors, right, your DNA from blood that they took out of you specifically when they were like doing other stuff at the hospital? That's not how it works. There's privacy laws.
They're not allowed to like take your DNA without your consent. Like if you
Yes,
get blood
exactly.
drawn at the hospital, they're not allowed to test your DNA against your wishes. They have to let you know they're doing that.
Okay, so then let me ask you this.
Wait, secondly, like, let me address this as well. Like, in terms of this, like, again, they literally can't give up this information anyway because there was no legal force or obligation to do so. So the only way that we could have gotten his DNA to test against is if he decided to give up his DNA to the court himself. And he decided not to give up his DNA.
They can subpoena DNA in a criminal case.
Yes,
But
exactly.
this was a civil case. So he had to give it up voluntarily. Now, let me ask you this. If she was lying, why would she be the one presenting this DNA and begging him to give his up to match to it?
She gave.
If she knew that this was going to come back as not his, why would she be the one asking him to do it?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Well, she tried for 2 years and he refused.
I think that's one of the strongest pieces of evidence, and I think that you should say that
Yeah.
that's a good enough reason to be like, yeah, he's probably guilty based upon the
I mean-
probabilities there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, after everything that you said, that right there was probably the strongest. I mean, if she said she was so strong enough with this dress, you know, she said his DNA is definitely on it, then I would have to look at this again.
Sure. So given that
I
level of
appreciate
evidence, would you
your-
accept it?
I appreciate you listening and your open-mindedness about looking further into it, Rebecca. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that you read that isn't accurate. The media doesn't report on these things very well. I'm speaking from experience. I've been through criminal case myself.
And that's why
it's not
it's good to do this stuff, because someone like me isn't going to know stuff like you know, and you're here to teach.
The only thing I want you to take away from this, I'm a nice person, okay? I know I came hard at you, but that's only because this issue is so important to me because I'm a victim too. My aunt was this person, and I care a lot about...
Your aunt is Jean Carroll?
Yes.
Oh my, I did not know that.
So it's not just because of her that I care about this, although that's obviously a huge part of it. It's because I've worked so many decades in prevention, in trying to dismantle culture, and I'm just letting you know that automatically assuming someone is a liar without examining the evidence is a perpetuation of violence against women.
No, you're right. I need to look at this more, because obviously what you said and what you've been saying is something that I need to look at, because
I mean, obviously, like, it's too late now, and I understand that. Like, we can't change the fact that he was elected. And I believe, to be totally honest with you, that even if this was a criminal case, he still would have been elected.
I
But
don't know how. Can you still be president with a criminal case?
yes, there's no restrictions against that. The only qualifications are to be 35 and born in the United States.
Well, that's another issue.
So I'm just saying, like, based on the things that Parker and I have heard from people about this, I believe he still would have at least gotten close to being elected, even with a criminal conviction, because nobody cares about his 34 felony convictions either.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just want you to think about, like, what it means there are 5.3 thousand people in this chat, and I guarantee you that there are at least 1,000 survivors of some kind of SA listening to
And
this
it's
right
terrible,
now.
and I believe that every single one of them should be locked
And
up.
for them to listen to a woman say that they believe that this person is lying and motivated by money when they don't even know the evidence is harmful.
Yeah,
And
no,
I'm not saying that to come down on you. That's just the truth.
I agree. I shouldn't have come at that so hard. I'm gonna look into this.
And Parker is also a huge advocate in this area as well, and that's why I care so much about Parker.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just want you to think about maybe read a little bit about what is culture and how people perpetuate it, because women do it too. We also have ingrained patriarchy within us and tend to blame women and not believe women as well. It's not just men. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you listened. I really appreciate very much that you listened to me and you let me go off. I am a nice person, but this is a very difficult
No, I
topic.
can tell that you're very passionate about this, and I'm passionate about stuff too. This is something I wasn't very passionate about, but you are.
Right. So, but my point is, I think you should be passionate about it because there are so many victims out there that we need your voice with our voices.
No, and yeah, I totally agree.
I'm gonna leave it there, Parker. And I do
Appreciate you.
apologize, Rebecca, for like hijacking and taking over the topic. I know you wanted to talk about other stuff, but this is so important to me, and I know it's important to Parker. So,
Absolutely.
Parker, thank you so
Of
much for
course,
the time,
Amber.
and Rebecca, thank you also for your time.
I appreciate it.
Okay, take care, everybody.
All right, Parker. Do you want to move on to a different topic?
Yeah,
Or
if
you
you'd
wanna-
like to bring up any other thing you'd like to, absolutely. If you'd like to just like think on things for a second, take your time, you can do that as well. Either or, open to the conversation.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to research that. She was very opening everything. I'm really glad that she came up. I'm obviously not someone who's going to sit here and say Trump's the best, when we all know that he's done stuff wrong. But right now, let's talk about immigration. So I do not agree with them with ICE specifically taking hardworking Americans, like dragging them to the floor, taking them out, whatever. But I don't understand why liberals specifically are so against wanting illegal immigrants who have done harsh crimes out of the country. Unless I'm wrong, unless you think that that's okay.
Yeah, no. People who are liberals definitely are okay with deporting people who have committed violent crimes or bad crimes that are like reasons to deport people. Like, no one has an
Okay.
issue against them. No one has an issue with that.
Okay. So
Like on the
can I
condition that
ask
they're
you?
gonna be put in a prison in another country, because we obviously don't want people like on the streets, roaming free, like harming people. You know.
Okay, so why are you guys so against a closed border?
The reason why I'm against a 100% closed border is because I think a foundational element of what America is based upon, in terms of what it should be based upon, is immigration. I think it's a fundamental base of this country that helps us, makes us better off. Immigrants coming to the country have a higher labor force participation rate than natural born U.S. citizens. And the inevitable reality of our fertility rates for the past 50 years, right, being below replacement rates, is that at a certain point, there's not going to be as many young people working to be able to provide for the significantly greater percentage of the population that's older, that is on Social Security and Medicare for longer periods of time because of science getting better and increasing life expectancy. And also vaccinations, other things like that lead to people living
I
longer past their
I
retirement.
100%
So
agree.
past way longer past the retirement age. So the point that I would say is that immigration is a fundamental aspect that is incredibly important for the growth of our economy and the continuing of being able to provide benefits for people on Social Security and Medicare for things that they paid into themselves.